understand, which we do, our purpose at this very moment, let us remember the broad shoulders upon which we stand and the traditions of this very fight that have led to what we have been able to accomplish.
Morning glory, America. Bonjour, hi, Canada. If you can imagine 4 years of that, you're a better person than I can. Hugh Hewitt here. I am joined by Noah C. Rothman, senior political writer for National Review. Noah, very basic question. I wrote a column about this at Fox News this morning. I do not believe Kamala Harris has the minimum skill set to be president. Do you?
So I read your piece. All of your points are accurate, I think, and excellent, with the exception of the lack of communication. The fact that she is not communicating with us, that she seems to think that she can get away with campaigning for the president by doing maybe one debate, one interview, and then just letting the votes roll. Your early voting begins this month. That is discipline on her part. She's not a naturally taciturn person. That clip tells you all you need to know about her. She's an over communicator. She talks before she has a thought to express and keeps talking until she finds the thought she wants to express. Her campaign is keeping her buttoned up and tight-lipped. And that's not something that's going to last in a Harris presidency. I imagine we're going to see a lot of a Harris president, probably more than we would even like.
No, I don't think I have to worry about it because I really do think the engine fell off last Thursday night in the CNN interview, and she stalled out and is plummeting. David Chalian, who I've worked with for a long time, very fine guy. He is leading analyst for CNN at Polls, was on yesterday with Kate Boudon. Cut number 30. Let's play David so that Noah can comment.
If you look at the white voters without college degrees, this is a Trump-based constituency, obviously. You see his huge numbers with this group. You see that this is a trouble sign for Harris. She also, in a place like Georgia, is not doing well with white college-educated voters. She probably wants to make up some ground with white college-educated voters across these battlegrounds as well, Kate.
An important
so I also got to add to his assessment, the new CNN poll shows David McCormick tied with Bob Casey, 46-46. I did not expect McCormick to ever tie him in the polls. I expected he would win because of polling response
some
bias.
interesting information.
Yeah, go ahead. What do you think?
Yeah, so I was going through some of the exit polling from 2020 last night, and that represents those totals in that poll. If they were borne out on Election Day, represent a really significant improvement for Donald Trump with white working class voters. Joe Biden, for all his faults, chewed into non-college white males in particular, but white non-college generally, and kept the deficits down. For example, in Pennsylvania, it was under a single-digit deficit between the two candidates. And Kamala Harris underperforms with this demographic. Donald Trump naturally overperforms with it. So they've sacrificed whatever effort, whatever Joe Biden brought to the table, he kept those totals down for Republicans, and which has become Donald Trump's bread and butter. That is a real significant deficit in the Rust Belt in particular, in states like Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. Joe Biden is not a popular president.
That.
Sure.
Let's pause on that, Noah. If you went to 30,000 feet and you did time lapse of the red and blue maps from 2008 forward, you would see first Missouri, then Iowa, then Ohio go red. I mean, they're ruby red. They're not contested by the Democrats. Wisconsin purple and Pennsylvania light blue. I think this is the year the demographics take over. The older population takes over. The young people leave Pennsylvania. They leave Wisconsin. They go to the urban metropolises like Austin and New York, and they go to the West Coast. I think those states are going red. What do you think?
Yeah, so the trend, when I was a kid, Missouri was the swing state, and then it was Ohio and Florida. And the demographics, as you said, changed. And they became more Republican as a result. So the reciprocal effect, though, is happening on the Democratic side, too, where Democrats are picking up what used to be a really reliable Republican constituency, educated, white, affluent suburbanites. And where those demographics are strong, those states are shifting in the Democratic column. And most of them are in the Sun Belt. Arizona and Georgia spring to mind. There are others. So far, this trade-off looks better for Republicans than it does Democrats. Although one constituency is growing, college-educated, white, affluent suburbanites is a growing constituency, and I don't think it's smart for Republicans to give up on them per se. Nevertheless, uh, Republicans have a real opportunity, obviously, to reprise the surprise that happened in 2016, especially in Pennsylvania. And it's interesting to see how the Kamala Harris campaign is responding to this by bringing Joe Biden to Pennsylvania into Pittsburgh to campaign alongside her on Labor Day. It's a real admission of weakness from the Harris campaign. This is not a popular president. Joe Biden
Good point.
is not a
Good
popular
point.
guy. The fact that they're bringing him there out of the shadows and embracing him, really, even though this campaign has an imperative of getting away from Joe Biden, getting away from his record, they have no choice but to do that, but to embrace him in Pennsylvania, because he appeals to the Rust Belt crowd, especially in places like former steel towns like Pittsburgh. So the Harris
Mark
campaign, for
Halperin,
all its appeal.
Mark Halperin noted that yesterday Kamala Harris campaigned in New Hampshire. Now and he said, so who's got the problem in New Hampshire? And I thought that was a telling observation. I didn't know she was in the Granite State, which is just to my south, but I do think that's a tell. What do you think, Noah Rothman?
It is a tell. They're not giving up on New Hampshire. They're not giving up on Virginia. They're going to dispatch to Virginia. They're not giving up on Minnesota. Minnesota is tighter than it was, according to at least one local pollster, tighter than it was before Tim Walz joined the ticket. This is going to be an extraordinarily tight run race. They're going to fight for every single constituency. The same, again, and I have to stress, the same is true in places like Arizona and Georgia, which were gone for Democrats when Joe Biden was at the top of the ticket. They are now in play. They're fighting.
Right, last question, Noah. This will take some time for you to answer. I want to give it to you. Until last night, the Harris campaign was trying to change the rules for the debate on Tuesday night so that the mics would be open. They gave up last night because it was this untenable position. They said that we had to stick to the rules and Trump had to show up because he agreed to them. Trump conceded, okay, I'll show up. Then they tried to change the rules to open the mic. The mics will not be open. A candidate gets 90 seconds to respond, and then there can be follow-ups from Muir and whoever else is there with Muir. What do you expect from that rule set and from these candidates on Tuesday night?
Let me just say, I like the rules. I like having these mics cut. That debate, the first debate, was one of the most edifying experiences in a debate that I can remember. You don't learn anything from crosstalk. You learn stuff when the candidates get to speak and be heard. So I appreciate that. Kamala Harris's campaign is raising a big stink about it. Why? Because I think they want to set expectations low. I think they want to say, well, we had all these canned responses and they were going to be great, but the moderators didn't play ball. And so we're behind the 8 ball, and now Donald Trump has the advantage. That suits the Harris campaign. They want you to think they're behind the 8 ball, that everything's not going their way. Donald Trump could learn something from that. They should start saying, don't trust all of Kamala Harris's record in debates where she's been awful and you remember her being awful. No. She's had all these years to practice and she's much better than you remember her being. They need to start doing that now because they only have 2 working days now, but until the debate. The Harris campaign should raise as much of a stink as they can about this rules thing. Although I think it would help her because if she wanted to say this I'm talking thing, I saw this clip. I'm sorry, I'm digressing, but I saw this clip of Democrats, the Democratic Party, producing the Harris's best moments in debates. 2 of them, 2 out of 5, were the I'm speaking thing. And in one of those times, she was steamrolled by Mike Pence, who just effectively dismantled the line. And this is what they had to promote. These were her greatest hits. It was not a great showing. I don't expect Kamala Harris has improved all that much. But if she needs the mics
do you think
to push her over the finish line, she's in trouble.
Do you think ABC News will ask good questions? I interviewed J.D. Vance yesterday. I had help from Matt Continetti and help from Mary Catherine Ham and from Dwayne doing my question set. So they were straightforward, objective, direct questions. Do you think ABC will do that?
I don't know. I kind of don't think so. I suspect that they will try, but I don't think they will be the questions that you or I would want to see asked. You were. I saw one of your questions on social media. It was a great question. One I would like to see is: at what point is there a threshold at which the use of overwhelming military force is necessary to protect American citizens in the Middle East who are dying? An American was killed last week. 3 American soldiers were killed in Jordan in January. 32 Americans were murdered by Hamas on October 7th. At what point, and we're under attack in the Red Sea and then the Strait of Bab al-Mandeb. When is the point at which it is appropriate to protect Americans who are under fire from foreign threats? There's been retaliatory responses, but they've not restored deterrence. When is it it appropriate for you as president to restore deterrence through the use of overwhelming military force?